Tony Wafer, Los Angeles chapter, National Action Network. He just came in here to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice, so I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
The only thing that will matter 2 minutes after you gone is what you did for more than yourself. Think about this. Think about if today is your last day. If this is your last service, what can they say about me? And if you're not satisfied with your own answer, you should leave here today working on yourself and building on what you need to build. Because God is here, He's available to you if you but use what He's giving you to be more than self-indulgent. Now I know many of us come with reasons we won't step out. But I come to tell you that's why God is here. God takes the ones that are the least likely and gets the most done. As I have seen in my life, people that were the unexpected and rejected are the ones that end up the greatest. So don't let whatever mistakes or whatever things that may be in your past hold you back. God is not trapped in your past. God is there for your future. And He's there that every day you wake up was a divine decision He made to give you another opportunity to serve.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. I see I'm in today's New York Times word puzzle, and they're asking what is Al Sharpton's title for short. It's Rev. I didn't know everybody knew that. But the people in the New York Times, they didn't call me Rev. They should call me Reverend. No. In many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
It's Thursday, June 11th, Black History, Black Music Month. But do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keepin' It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to all of you across the country, and good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to all those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm Dominique Sharpton. I'm Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter. I'm sitting in for the Rev today. Reverend Sharpton is traveling. He's in Hampton, Virginia, where many of you know Hampton University hosts its annual Ministers Conference, and Reverend Sharpton is keynoting the conference today. I hear, and my phone is pinging up, that Rev is killing it. He's obviously speaking and speaking well, and so we always appreciate Rev for all of the hard work that he does and the commitment. You know, crisscrossing the country is not easy, and standing up and fighting for the rights of our people and trying to make the world a better place, certainly not an easy job. But we thank Reverend Sharpton for his steadfast and commitment, of course, to the cause and to doing what's right every single day. I'm sitting in the hot seat and certainly eager to do so today. We're going to be taking your calls across the country, and as always, you can join in on the conversation today. We got a lot to talk about, and of course, want to be in the action. So want to hear from you. You can call in today and discuss the issues that are relevant and pertinent to us. And you can call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Certainly good afternoon as well to those who are watching us and listening to us via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net, and those who are joining us on the message board to join in on the conversation today. Well, I am a New Yorker, as y'all know, and so I am definitely very excited on the heels of what was a really, really historic game. I don't know if y'all are Knicks fans out there, but the Knicks clinched that game last night, winning by 1 point. And so I'm very excited right now to be a New Yorker and to be a Knicks fan. Certainly those of you who were tuned in or who watched the game or who are just excited about this moment as I am, want to definitely revel in this as we, those who are Knicks fans, I'm sorry, y'all. And those who are not, I'm sorry for you. But the Knicks are definitely up and doing it big. And certainly it was a really exciting game for those who tuned in last night. I know we got another one coming up on Saturday, so I'm excited. It looks like the Knicks may take the championship this year. I don't know about y'all, what y'all think, but I'm thinking it's looking pretty good. So I am excited about that. But we got a lot of work to do, and certainly want to, of course, talk about the issues of importance. And certainly as we continue to discuss these issues and continue to be on the side of action in terms of what we are doing around what we're seeing. It's a lot going on, and so we've got to be involved. And certainly, as we know, Thursdays are normally our policy day, but Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is also traveling today, and so I'm holding it down. And we got a lot to do, and certainly want to talk about it all. And I think that as we are really looking forward, right, to everything that's happening, everything that we're doing, we're planning on going to Washington, D.C. on August the 28th because we are really concerned, of course, about a lot of things that are happening, and we want to really make some noise. The Knicks is making noise in New York. We want to make some noise across the country because we care about what's happening around our voting rights. We care about what's happening around what's going on with government and what's going on with how we as a people need to really stand up and really take ownership in this moment and continue to really make that noise and make that presence known. And so we're going to DC on August 28th. And as we continue to look back and commemorate, of course, all of the historic references and times where we had to stand strong against injustice, we had to stand strong against humility and against bigotry. And in those moments, we stood strong and we stood in many, many, many numbers. And so as we commemorate these moments through the historic March on Washington, we know that Martin Luther King III and Andrea Waters King and their organization will be joining us, along with many other legacy groups. There's a lot of groups out there that's doing the work, that's on the scene, that's on the ground every single day, that's really making a difference. And so we're all coming together. That's happening in August. We're going to talk about that, more to come, and also talk about what's going on, which we got a lot to deal with. But what to talk about, certainly want to get into obviously what's going on with the Iran war, and wanted to talk about this as the Trump administration is claiming that the war has ended. I wish that we could talk to Sister Jennifer today, but I know that we are going to have a dynamic conversation anyway. But really also what's going on with this immigration funding package and why Social Security is predicted to be critically low by the year of 2032. We know that we've also got a lot of primaries and things that are coming up, that are going on in our communities. I know New York is preparing for that, for early voting to also start. And so we've got to raise the roof, y'all. We've got to raise the roof in terms of our commitment, in terms of our diligence, in terms of the information that we are putting out there, that we're collecting, and also that we are spreading, that we're talking about. We've got to be about that action. And so this is, keeping it real, as Reverend Sharpton says, as he's coined that. And so we are here every single day making that commitment, making that statement, talking about what we are going to do, talking about how we are making this difference, talking about how we can also make sure that our brothers and sisters are aware of what we know and what we are doing. And so each one reach one, and each one certainly will teach one. We also going to talk about today, as this has been really, really grappling with us in terms of a collective in our country. And we've been talking about it obviously on Keeping It Real, but also want to talk about and continue talking about this Carmelo Anthony sentencing and how information as it continues to unfold. And as we are continuing to get the information in terms of how this case has really taken a toll on us collectively in this country. The parents spoke out yesterday, the first time, or not yesterday, recently, for the first time since the verdict had been issued. And, they lost a son, and it's not easy to see parents having to really take this moment on and confront the world and dealing with this. And talking about, beyond what the legal outcome is, the case obviously raises larger questions, right, about youth violence and conflict resolution, and how social media influence and race in and of itself really impacts the public perception. And so I think this is one of the saddest realities that we are facing in our country today. And certainly this case speaks volumes to the work that we've done, but the work that must continue as well. And so, it's never an easy task. And those that take this work on, who commit themselves to be activists and to speak out and to be present, right, in terms of how we impact change is very important and very valuable in this moment. And I feel like we've all got to make that commitment. So want to hear from you. Certainly the lines are open and you can join in on the conversation today. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Bruce Turner, 2901. I see you. Voting rights, the justice system, and gerrymandering. Certainly three issues that, of course, we are definitely concerned about and committed to. And we're going to Washington to talk about. We're going to Washington to raise the alarm around these issues and how we feel about them. And so I know that when we had this epic pandemic and it was 2020 and George Floyd had happened and we had erupted in a massive outrage to what was happening. And even in the midst of a pandemic, thousands of people committed to going to Washington, D.C., to standing up for the rights of our people, for standing up for equality, standing up for justice. And it was a beautiful day to really see how many people came together in a pandemic, and there was no outbreaks or no issues to that, to that volume and to that magnitude. But we stood committed to the cause. And a lot of things happened because of that moment. A lot of things happened because of that day. And we have got to continue to really make that commitment. And it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be a quick fix. We know that this is a marathon. Reverend Sharpton speaks about it all the time. This is a marathon, and so we've got to really commit ourselves for the long haul here and really commit ourselves for what we are looking towards in terms of how our children and our loved ones in the future will live and, of course, be protected. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Peace and blessings to you as well. I see those on the message board who are chiming in and getting involved in what we are doing on today and what we are doing across the country. Those of you who tuned in as well over the weekend to Politics Nation, we want to also really encourage those to really tune in. Politics Nation is off the chain, y'all. It's off the chain. But really, in this moment and in this time, we are always looking at what's the analysis, what's going on, what's the, the temperament of how people are organizing and really thinking in this moment, whether it be politicians, whether it be those who are really dedicated to the work on many different facets. If we're talking about healthcare, we're talking about criminal justice reform, if we're talking about education, and so many other things. And so I think that this is a mega pot of information and analysis. And I think that we've got to really take this very seriously and understand the privilege that we have of having a Politics Nation on the air to really delve into these issues and really talk about, where we are and what we can do better and how we can move forward. So make sure y'all are tuning in to Politics Nation every Saturday and Sunday live on MS Now, starting at 5:00 p.m. Eastern Time, and really be about that. Really be about it. Politics Nation. All right. I think we are probably going to take a break very soon. I want to get into this conversation about the Iranian war and also get into this conversation. What's going on with all of these attacks and how we are dealing with, of course, preparing for the primary elections, but also, just how we feeling in general about a lot of these things. Are we uneasy? Are we speaking truth to power? Are we connecting through information of how we are really telling the story to our loved ones and our children? How are we showing up in this moment? 1-877-532-5797. And how the president is saying, honestly, that the United States is going to hit Iran. He said very hard. We got to talk about it. We're going to take a break, though. I hear the music playing. We're going to Keep it real. 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Keeping it real.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
I want to turn the floor over to you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, President Dr. Kimber, and to all of you on the board. I wanted to personally make this appeal from National Action Network and Martin Luther King III and Andrea Waters King, that we've been moving around the country organizing to deal with the question of redistricting, when they have used the Supreme Court now to redraw lines that will in many ways break up majority black voting districts. It means that they dilute the strength of our community. It will cost probably 19 members of the Congressional Black Caucus. But as important, if not more important, it will not address the needs of those constituents because they don't have a block vote to say we're going to put in somebody that wants to do what is right for us or not. And that does not necessarily all the time mean a black person, but it gives them power. In Memphis, Tennessee, the majority black district congressman supported and reelected several times by the blacks there was a white man named Cohen. So we see this as an undoing of the Voting Rights Act of 65 and the Civil Rights Act of 64. So on August 28th, we've asked people from around the country to join us in Washington, D.C. for a mass march. We've had some marches and rallies in Mississippi, some in Montgomery and Selma, but we need a national march led by the clergy, led by the faith leaders, like it was in the 60s, that will say it is a moral outrage that we would, in a time like this, disenfranchise wholesale black voters by repealing the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and by turning the time back. We've heard from a lot of groups, but we need this to be church-led. National Action Network is appealing to you, the president. Reverend Dr. Boise Kim has been on our board for years and knows this well, and the many of you that are on the board. But we need to send a national message in a peaceful, nonviolent gathering led by the clergy, along with Dr. King's son, along with his daughter-in-law, and along with other leaders. But it's time to dramatize it. We see the No Kings March. We see everybody out there rallying. Where's our voice when we're the ones being disenfranchised? We're the ones being attacked. And I think that if we would stand up, the people will step up because the people understand the gravity of the hour. And I think that we are called upon at this point in history to do what those leaders of the black church did before our time and in our childhood. So I thank you, President Kimball, for giving me an opportunity to make the appeal to the board itself. You have the information. We're going to have buses from all over the country. Those churches that have buses, we give information. Those that don't, we're willing to help supply them. But we need to show a big number right in the nation's capital. History should not say they stripped us of everything and there was not a national response led by the black church. Thank you very much for these few minutes.
In 1929, a child was born who would one day awaken the conscience of a nation. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did not inherit a world ready for justice. He inherited a world resistant to it. Yet through faith and fearless leadership, he transformed struggle into strength and vision into movement.
Yes, we're on the move and no wave of racism can stop us. Yes, sir. The burning of our churches will not deter us. Yes, sir. The bombing of our homes will not dissuade us. Yes, sir. The beating and killing of our clergymen and young people will not divert us. Yes, sir. The wanton release of their known murderers will not discourage us. We're on the move now. Yes, sir. Like an idea whose time has come. Yes, sir. Not even the marching of mighty armies can halt us. Yes, sir. We're moving to the land of freedom. Yes, sir.
His dream was never meant to live in history books. It was meant to live through us. And today, that vision still lives. It lives through leadership that refuses to be silent, and through those entrusted with carrying the legacy forward through the moral leadership of Reverend Al Sharpton and the continued stewardship of Martin Luther King III, ensuring that Dr. King's dream remains a mandate, not a memory. Through National Action Network, that vision remains active, organizing in the streets, advocating in the halls of power, and confronting injustice wherever it exists. Last year, on Dr. King's Day, we stood together and made a vow to keep alive everything Dr. King stood for, not just in word, but in action. We marched, we gathered, and we recommitted ourselves to the work. Since then, the movement has not paused from the National Action Network convention, where leaders came together to organize and build power, to the Keepers of the Dream Gala, an event established in the name of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to honor those who actively protect, advance, and live out his vision of justice, equality, and service. It is especially meaningful to remember that Mrs. Coretta Scott King was honored at the very first Keepers of the Dream Gala.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
And she did more than honor the dream she protected. At the 2000 March on Washington, Mrs. Coretta Scott King charged Martin Luther King III and Reverend Al Sharpton with the responsibility of carrying forward Dr. King's vision, ensuring that the movement would remain alive, relevant, and unafraid.
And to see them today here warms my heart, because indeed the future of our leadership is in good hands, especially with all the others who are here in support of them. And I want to ask first that Martin Luther King III come forth, and then Reverend Al Sharpton. These young men have done an outstanding job, and we need to continue to support them. I will be there with them, even though I may not be able to walk all the way, but if I have to go in the wheelchair, that'll be all right too. I'll be there. Thank you. God bless you.
And 25 years later, they still stand together. On the 28th of August, 2025, Reverend Al Sharpton and Martin Luther King III stood side by side once again, not by coincidence, but by calling. On a date forever tied to the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., they came together in unity and purpose to keep the dream alive, this time on Wall Street. Wall Street
Keeping it
represents
real.
power, and
I'm
too
Dominique Sharpton, sitting in for the Rev today, taking your calls. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797. Rev is in Hampton, Virginia, where he's keynoting the annual Hampton University's Ministers Conference. But we got a lot going on, a lot to talk about, and certainly want to hear from you. I see on the message board, a lot of people are talking about the Carmelo Anthony sentencing, and certainly want to, obviously, there's a lot going on, and we obviously want to always be respectful. This is not an easy conversation to have ever. And here we are again, obviously talking about what's happening with another young black man in America. But certainly, as we know, and those who are writing on the message board, Rodney Jones and others, thank you for your comments. And, as this is continuing to unfold and happen right before our eyes, we know that he was sentenced to 35 years. For, of course, the fatal stabbing of the Austin Metcalf, which was following an altercation at a track meet that they were at. But following the sentencing, his parents spoke out and publicly stated, of course, that they don't believe that their son received a fair trial. There wasn't even any black people on the jury. And so, they spoke very passionately about the fact that they don't believe their son got a fair trial, and certainly the verdict rendered compared to how we've seen in other situations, right, with happening with convictions in this country, and those who have allegedly committed other, crimes to that nature, said it was self-defense, got lesser time. It's certainly generating really intense emotions, because two families here, right, have experienced tragedy, and certainly one family lost a son. And so we can't negate that as well. But, now this young man is facing decades of jail time, and beyond that. This case really raises larger questions about youth violence and, like I said, how we deal with conflict resolution, and how race really impacts the public perception. And so I think that this is one of the saddest realities, how quickly these disagreements among young people can really become life-altering tragedies. And regardless of where people really stand on the verdict, two families will never be the same. And so that is something that we can state for sure. But as we are talking through these things, as we are having these unfortunate conversations, we do really need to talk about this, and how can we reduce youth violence, and how has social media and this technology arena that we are living in, make it really harder to receive a fair trial. I mean, this boy was plastered all over the internet for days, for weeks. And then furthermore, really, our young people really being taught how to deal with conflict resolution? Are we taking it seriously? Are we implementing these conversations in our schools and in our communities and in our worship centers and our institutions and our spiritual institutions, our churches, our community centers? Are we having these conversations, to make sure that our young people are being taught how to deal with conflict and how and the responsibilities of the schools. Let me go into that as well. The schools' responsibility as well in teaching our young people. But obviously, this is a tragedy, and certainly even hearing how his parents have spoken out, it really cuts deeper, right? As we're having these conversations, but we don't need no more of this. We need no more of this. We need to have real solutions and fairness across the board. And so in the name of this young man, we will continue to pay very close attention. But we need to lift his parents up and his community up in this moment, because it's obviously not an easy thing that they're dealing with. Can't be an easy thing that they're dealing with, and certainly not an easy thing that we are seeing. But let's go to the phones. Andre's been holding, listening to us from New York City, I believe. Yep, New York and the Bronx. All right, Andre, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Damo. How you doing today?
All right. How are you?
Good. You're doing a phenomenal job as always.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, ma'am. So listen, we were at the on Monday, members of the huddle as well as members of the housing committee joined with CASA along with many elected officials and other community organizations in a hearing with the Rent Guideline Board, in which we all went up and testified before the board seeking a rent freeze. As many in the community know and throughout the city know, during the last administration, there was a 12% rent increase underneath that administration coming after the COVID pandemic and other things, other atrocities that took place within our communities that really made it difficult for hardworking people to pay their rent, including the mass layoffs done by the White House administration. And so, yeah, we were on Monday testifying before the board, and they seem to be pretty receptive. But what I would like to bring to the attention...
Hold on, Andre. I want to hold you through the break because I don't want to cut you off. I'm sorry, but I hear the music, so we got to take this break. So can you hold on? Because I want you to give updates about that hearing. Dominique Sharpton here, sitting for the Rev, taking your calls, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Keeping it real.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, there's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are, because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they gotta open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughters started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying.
Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, sitting in for the Rev today. Rev is in Hampton, Virginia. I'm hearing that he is killing it. He done killed it, they said. Rev is speaking at the annual Hampton University's Ministers Conference, but we are taking your calls. Certainly you can join in on the conversation today. Get into the action and call us 1-877 532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Before the break, we were speaking with Andre from the Bronx. Andre, you still there?
I'm still here, Damo.
All right. Now take us back a little bit to tell us about this rent control hearing and the situation you were trying to tell us, please.
Yeah, so the city is facing a rent crisis, and so, you have coalitions of individuals seeking a rent freeze as they have been during the last administration, and unfortunately, during the last administration, the calls of the people fell on deaf ears. And we got a new mayor now, we've got a new administration, and so we brought to the attention to this new rent guideline board, who is appointed by the mayor's office, the concerns and the voices of the people. It's not only that people can't afford the rent, but a lot of these property owners are not maintaining their properties and maintaining the warranty of habitability of their properties. And so therefore they're talking about they need money, but where are their profits going? Is it going in their pockets, or is it going into maintaining the buildings?
And who
Now,
do they
in New York
answer
City,
to, Andre?
yeah.
So as we are informing our brothers and sisters, who do they answer to?
Who does who answer to? I'm sorry.
Those that are dealing with this head on. Who do they answer to? The landlords and those who are, who do they answer to? Because they're not dealing with the needs of the people. Obviously, it's not us. They ain't answering to us.
Well, they're supposed to answer to HPD. HPD is the Housing Preservation Development Corporation, is the ones who oversee and issue violations. And, after they issue violations, the violations should be enforced. And unfortunately, during past administrations, the HPD municipalities were just not really enforcing those violations and making sure that rental property owners made those corrections.
Okay.
And so, the bottom line is in New York City, there are hundreds of thousands of open violations. And because of the exact number of active violations, it fluctuates daily as repairs are made and new complaints are filed. The city's database dramatically tracks this data, and the Bronx currently experiences the highest concentration, with 31% of rental property units possessing serious housing code violations.
Okay.
And so there's over 250,000 housing violations given annually. Most of them are severe Class B and Class C violations, which deems the rental property owners to correct those violations immediately. And in many cases, they go years without being done. And so therefore, again, why do they deserve a rent increase if a lot of these property owners are not maintaining their properties? Where are the profits going?
A very good point. So we need to be obviously all over this. And in New York, we know that we've been dealing with this across the board in many different facets. So thank you for your continued activism, Andre, and for your call and for really raising the alarm around these issues. And certainly, we know that there is a process that goes along with, how these violations are being sanctioned or filed, or, how these, violations are being addressed. But in your particular, comment and in your particular stance, the rent is going up and people are living in these dilapidated conditions, and getting away with it, and landlords are getting away with it. And so, definitely understand, obviously the momentum and the need, to really raise the alarm and the activism around how we mobilize around dealing with these issues and holding those accountable as they need to, because it's hard. It's hard to live in New York City. It's hard to find housing. It's hard to find adequate housing. It's hard to, as we are talking about, the whole level up conversation, right, in terms of how we can empower our community financially and financial empowerment, that includes ownership of our homes and real estate and all of that. And so, these conversations have layers to it. And if we deserve, to own our homes, we also deserve to live in, valuable conditions if we are renting. That's ridiculous. And so definitely understand where you're coming from there, Andre. And thank you for raising, like I said, the advocacy around how we need to stay involved with dealing how these rent violations and rent control is obviously dealt with in the city of New York and in other cities, obviously, where these are also concerns. Huge problem. Thank you so much, Andre. Anita, I see you holding on, listening to us from Chapel Hill. Always a pleasure speaking with you, my sister. Good afternoon. You're keeping it real.
Hi, Dominique.
Hi.
Long time I haven't spoken with you, but I'm glad I am now. Tell your dad to stop being chicken, and we need you on MS Now anchoring. Get ready, practice.
Oh, man, I'm ready. That's funny.
Good, tell him. All right, we could use a woman's perspective. But what I want to say about the Iranian war,
yes,
I don't know all that what's going on, but, as you know, I'm Muslim, and I guess they're Muslims. I'm not keeping up with all of that. But whatever we reap in America, whatever we sow, we're gonna reap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so reaping and sowing is still a priority with God and what your conduct is. And just because other people are doing these things, that's in power, we're responsible for practicing our democracy to the fullest.
Mm-hmm.
If you want God to bless you, you have to use the tools that you have available to the fullest maximum capacity, and then I think he comes to your aid and rescue. Okay? And if we're not doing that, we're sitting out on elections and not paying attention, and then we expect these miracles to happen. It's not going to happen. You're going to get your disaster, because if God bless you with things and people go out of their way to make sure you have it and you act like it's not available to you, and then when things happen to you, don't look for miracles, look for disasters.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, and we shouldn't be fear-mongering, letting people fear-monger us about what's going on with the wars, and we should not be just listening to any rumor. And we should try to, maybe if we do all of these things, God will restrain the fury of our enemies or our people in our country that are our enemies when it comes to all of these things. And we should be recommending good causes, because in the Quran it says anybody that recommends a good cause is part and helps with it is part of the good cause, or anybody that's doing it and then you come in and help. It's always a blessing, and we need to work on blessings instead of cash dollars. As you see, cash dollars is not paying you very much. Okay, now I want to say one more thing. I don't know if Reverend Al talked about the cross burning in Chicago.
I haven't. Okay. I didn't hear about it, but I'm sure he has.
It's a cross burning in Grant Park, and I believe that's where Obama was there when he became the president. Okay, and Reverend Jackson was in the audience crying. I think that was Grant Park. So I don't know if the crap is coming out, is hitting the fan, that black people are getting too much progress. And then what else did they do? Oh, the Pope. I'm very proud of Chicago, because I think he's the first American president, Pope, and he's from the area that I actually went to high school in. Yes, Thornridge, and Thornwood, okay, and the town that he was in was very racist back then, and they were rioting after Martin Luther King passed, okay. So we've come through a lot of, challenges, but we're surviving them. But if we won't survive them, if we do not take action on what we have available. We have a Pope. Everybody, please, the area is right outside of Chicago, and very progressive black people there that worked and had bigger families and still believed in work and sending children to college, and, not necessarily being in a crime situation for our future. So we need to, President Obama and the Pope could be a reason why that cross went up in Grant Park. Okay, that's telling us you can't progress because you still an N-word. Well, we're going to have to put it, remember when Pharaoh reversed the curse on, remember when Moses reversed the curse on Pharaoh? He kept doing all these things, and then the plagues ended up hitting Pharaoh. Okay, so anything they start, when Moses told Pharaoh to stop, Pharaoh decided he going to throw some more plagues on them, try to put it on us, on the slaves. And everything, and I think Moses told him it's going to come back on you this time. Okay, so whatever they do now, if we're doing our job, God will answer that promise and that word that he never fails on. Let them reap what they sow. Okay, so if they want to burn us, then let God let it be to them. And I can't stop them from wishing bad things. I can't. I can only show them not to do it. We're not in control of how people decide to live their lives. And we need to take God's word seriously, because we're not going to win anything with just that little money they're going to pass you out and then snatch it back. Okay.
I hear you. And so that brings me to this, Sister Nita, and thank you so much for your call. Always great analysis, and I really am inspired by your spiritual grounding, and I always tell you that, and so I appreciate that you always have, you always bring this spiritual connection in with your analysis, which really resonates a great deal. So thank you for that. But what I'm asking, so what does victory look like then, Sister Nita and others, those who we are talking about, is it it championing our voting rights? Is it having elected officials, in office who we hold accountable, who are doing work and showing up for us? What does victory look like? Does it look like reparations? You talked about, a check that they would provide that they're going to take back. So, in the stream of things, what does it look like? Financial empowerment, us owning businesses, us holding, when you say power, what does victory look like, Sister Anita? Is it connected to us spiritually? Is it where does that lie for us? How do we see that path forward? Thank you so much for your call and raising those concerns. I hear the music, so we're going to take a break. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, and we'll be right back with more of Keeping It Real, y'all, with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Keeping it real.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement.
We need some room. All right, hold on. Michael Jackson is the highest selling artist of all time. No one has sold more records in the history of the planet than Michael Jackson. But Michael Jackson said to us, he did not want to just raise the issue of what's happening with him. He said that artists all over the world need people to stand up and protect their rights. And he said, Reverend, if we're going to stand up, if it's for all artists, I'm there. As you know, there's a big rally his fan club is doing this afternoon, but he said, I'm coming to Harlem this morning to meet with community leaders because we want justice in the music industry for all artists. Now there'll be some that say, oh, Michael, are you doing this only because of your situation? Michael came to Harlem 2 months ago for the DNC. Now he comes for his own peers. Because we discussed it. Kathy and I talked about how we watched James Brown struggle, Little Richard struggle. We've seen artists, black and white and Latino struggle. Somewhere this has to stop. We do not buy records. We do not buy CDs to give money to the company. We buy it to support the artists that we like. And we want the artists to be free. We don't want the companies bigger than the artists. We want the people respected and the stars that we make stars to shine in the galaxy for us. And let me say this is the 4th of July weekend. Michael Jackson is an American story. Him and his family rose from Gary, Indiana, to where he's an icon all over the world. Didn't no one give him anything. He sung, he danced, he created, he produced, he spent hours in the studio. No executive did that for him. You do not have the right to take from someone what you didn't put in them. He created where he is. We appreciated it. We didn't hear about Michael when he got to Sony. We knew Michael with ABC when he was in Gary. They got thrilled when he did Thriller. We was already thrilled. We were already off the wall. And we coming off our seats to stand up for justice in the music industry. And let me say one more thing. I don't need that loud talking now. We're on the rail. I want people to hear the message. Let me say something. I read one newspaper said, well, the record company saying they're going to wait and put out the best of Michael Jackson. You can't put out the best of Michael Jackson because the best of Michael Jackson is yet to come. He's still creating. He's still innovating. He's still the king. He's still ours and we're still his. Fans all over the world. Thousands came out in London. Thousands will come out in New York. All over the world, we're going to make it clear that our artists should not be paying back things they had no input in. The promotion budgets. James M. Tume will lay it out. The video budgets. All of this are charged to the artists, yet the artists have no discretion on what to say. So if they want to buy an ad with their friend, Michael can't tell them buy it in Jet Magazine because they decide the budget and charge it to the artists. That's why many of these artists have no money at the end of their career. But he wanted to fight while he was on top, so it will help your child not have to fight one day to go through what they've had to go through. Sammy Davis Jr. died broke. His wife had to become a waitress. Michael said, I owe it to Sammy. I owe it to James Brown. I owe it to Little Richard. We're going to stop this once and for all.
dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
It's the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Where in history is this? He said we always go one step forward and two backward. Well, here we are now. The problem is not Trump. The problem is us.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton. I'm Reverend Sharpton's daughter. I'm sitting in for Rev today. Rev is in Hampton, Virginia, where he keynoted the Hampton University's Ministers Conference that they have every year. And Reverend Sharpton is in Hampton, Virginia. I hear that Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin is also in the contingency who traveled to the ministers' conference, and so she will not be joining us as well. But I'm sitting in the hot seat, and I'm taking your calls, and we've got a lot going on, a lot to talk about, and a lot to do as we are getting in the action all over the country. So you can call in and join in on the conversation today. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can join us on the message board. The message board is lit up over here as they are engaging in discussion as well. Those of you all who are watching us, via our live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. But before the break, we were talking, Sister Anita from Chapel Hill brought the spirit, I guess, amongst us as we were talking about what's going on, obviously with the Iranian war, and to turn things to international affairs very briefly. Obviously, the conflict that's been involving Iran has surpassed the 100-day mark, despite statements that were suggesting that the conflict is winding down. So we were talking about that. And in recent reports also indicating that there was continued military exchange and threats against the Iranian oil infrastructure that we've been talking about, and also increasing concerns about the regional stability. Now, questions still remain, right, about whether this conflict is actually ending, or if it's just, really just entering in a new phase. And so we were talking about really and how to put that in retrospect with obviously everything that we're dealing with and talking about, and how we are mobilizing and really standing up for so many issues across the board, what they're doing with gerrymandering, what they're doing with immigration reform, what they're doing with our voting rights. And so the question became obviously, what does our victory look like? How we define our victory in this moment? Does it look like reparations? Does it look like a better education system? Does it look like more resources for our community? Does it look like, better elected officials that are really working to our greater good? Like, what does victory look like for us? And I know that will probably be a different answer across the board as we are, circulating across regions. But I feel like in this moment, as we are talking about conflict and war, and we're talking about obviously how we even deal with talking with our children about dealing with conflict resolution in our own homes, right? I think across the spectrum, one of the lessons that America has learned, right, in this moment, and from dealing with the Iraq and Afghanistan and military action and, lasting peace, not necessarily the same thing. But wars don't end, right, because politicians say that they're over. They end when obviously the underlying conflict is resolved. And so this is what we've been talking about. And what concerns me also, ladies and gentlemen, is that ordinary Americans, right, they often don't pay attention until they feel the impact at the gas pump. And so a lot of us are at that gas pump feeling the impact. And now we are, those who were on the fence before, or those who were arguing in our face about, why they was going to vote a certain way, are now looking like, what's going on when your back is against the wall, and what's going on when you're at that gas pump. We got a lot of folks at the gas pump, and I know that we've got a lot to talk about in terms of how we're going to deal with those resolutions and that conflict. But let's go to Al. Al's listening to us from Atlanta. Al, you are keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. Always good to hear your voice. You asked the question why we're having so many problems in America, in Black America.
Mm-hmm.
The first question you're going to have to ask is who actually runs Black America? Is it the Reverend Al Sharpton or the fake Reverend Louis Farrakhan, who's appointed himself? Whenever you hear a different political point of view, you want to join it, you want to experiment with it, you want to try it out. And in doing so, we are dividing our own place in the United States and our own position in the world, because this is not who we are, and if we're not following our government and our leaders, then we are like a band that's marching off a cliff instead of along a route that has been chosen for it.
But what does our following our leaders look like? What does it look like to you?
Say again?
What does that look like? Following our leaders, you're saying we're not. So what does that look like to you?
If we're following our leaders, we should be doing what they told us to do. We should be doing as Al Sharpton and the NAACP suggest for our betterment. Or if you're following the Crips gang, if you're following the Bloods, if you're following Tupac Tokra, then you're a Black person who is trying to become a political a puppet of somebody else. In most cases, you don't know who that person is because they're trying to hide themselves from the government in the first place. We need to know who is supposed to be our leaders, who we're supposed to be following, if we're going to call ourselves Black or African American. If you're not, then you need to stop calling yourself that, because you're no longer a part of this cultural or political family. You've become a part of someone else's. And you shouldn't be coming back to our dinner table to eat. And a classic example of that is Janet Jackson. She married basically someone who's a Muslim pimp. And her status in our culture is inspiring other Black women to go off and do the same thing. And then when these people disappoint you, you come back to the Black American table to get redress. And after a while, we're not going to listen to you, because if you're not a part of this family, you need to go and let the family that you join feed you and support you.
I hear you. Thank you. I hear you and that's why I can't, like you said, thank you so much for your call. And then this is why it troubles me as they're talking about all these things, and now they bring up Social Security. And I wanted to get into that as well. So I guess this is a segue. Thank you, Al, for that. But what's going on with the Social Security? And I asked this, I had a conversation, I believe it was with my uncle last week about this. And how, they're warning that Social Security is going to face serious financial challenges and could, reach a critical point by like 2032, they're saying, if significant changes aren't made now. So we're talking about in the span of about less than a decade, we could be looking at serious challenges as it relates to how folks are going to retire and deal with how Social Security is being issued in this country. And so for this growing retiree population, for the fact that we are out here, kicking ourselves in the mud, fighting for jobs, fighting for justice, and all of that, to say that, later on down the line, we're looking at some serious challenges happening and coming. And so it's probably, honesty, Al, the most personal policy issue that we're discussing today, and especially for seniors. But I hear the music. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back to that. But Dominique Sharpton, I'm sitting here keeping it real with y'all. Call us and join in on the conversation. 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
The only thing that will matter 2 minutes after you gone is what you did for more than yourself. Think about this. Think about if today is your last day. If this is your last service, what can they say about me? And if you're not satisfied with your own answer, you should leave here today working on yourself and building on what you need to build. Because God is here. He's available to you if you but use what He's giving you to be more than self-indulgent. Now, I know many of us come with reasons we won't step out. But I come to tell you that's why God is here. God takes the ones that are the least likely and gets the most done. As I have seen in my life, people that were the unexpected and rejected are the ones that end up the greatest. So don't let whatever mistakes or whatever things that may be in your past hold you back. God is not trapped in your past. God is there for your future. And He's there that every day you wake up was a divine decision He made to give you another opportunity to serve. All over the world today, people are gathered in love vigils to celebrate the life of a man that taught the world how to love. People may be wondering why there's such an emotional outburst, but you would have to understand the journey of Michael to understand what he meant to all of us. For these that sit here as the Jackson family, a mother and father with 9 children that rose from a working class family in Gary, Indiana. They had nothing but a dream. No one believed in those days that these kind of dreams could come true. But they kept on believing, and Michael never let the world turn him around from his dreams. I first met Michael around 1970, Black Expo, Chicago, Illinois, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who stood by this family till now. And from that day as a cute kid to this moment, he never gave up dreaming. It was that dream that changed culture all over the world. When Michael started, it was a different world. But because Michael kept going, because he didn't accept limitations, because he refused to let people decide his boundaries, he opened up the whole world. In the music world, he put on one glove, pulled his pants up, and broke down the color curtain, where now our videos are shown and magazines put us on the cover. It was Michael Jackson that brought blacks and whites and Asians and Latinos together. It was Michael Jackson that made us sing "We Are the World" and feed the hungry long before Live Aid. Because Michael Jackson kept going, he created a comfort level where people that felt they were separate became interconnected with his music. And it was that comfort level that kids from Japan and Ghana and France and Iowa and Pennsylvania got comfortable enough with each other to later it wasn't strange to us to watch Oprah on television. It wasn't strange to watch Tiger Woods golf. Those young kids grew up from being teenage, comfortable fans of Michael to being 40 years old and being comfortable to vote for a person of color to be the president of the United States of America. Michael did that. Michael made us love each other. Michael taught us to stand with each other. There are those that like to dig around mess, but millions around the world, we're going to uphold his message. It's not about mess, it's about his love message. As you climb up steep mountains, sometimes you scar your knee. Sometimes you break your skin, but don't focus on the scars. Focus on the journey. Michael beat him. Michael rose to the top. He outsang his cynics. He outdanced his doubters. He outperformed the pessimists. Every time he got knocked down, he got back up. Every time you counted him out, he came back in. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. I want to say to Mrs. Jackson and Joe Jackson, his sisters and brothers, we thank you for giving us someone that taught us love, someone that taught us hope. We want to thank you because we know it was your dream too. And we know that your heart is broken. I know you have some comfort from the letter from the President of the United States and Nelson Mandela, but this was your child. This was your brother. This was your cousin. Nothing will fill your heart's loss. But I hope the love that people are showing will make you know he didn't live in vain. And I want his 3 children to know, wasn't nothing strange about your daddy. It was strange what your daddy had to deal with. But he dealt with it. He dealt with it anyway. He dealt with it for us. So some came today, Mrs. Jackson, to say goodbye to Michael. I came to say thank you. Thank you because you never stopped. Thank you because you never gave up. Thank you because you never gave out. Thank you because you tore down our divisions. Thank you because you eradicated barriers. Thank you because you gave us hope. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael.
Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, sitting in for Rev, taking your calls. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is also traveling today with the Rev, and so we normally have our policy conversation on Thursdays, but we're keeping it real today and talking about a lot of issues and a lot of things that we want to do, want to be aware of, want to be in the action for, and certainly welcome that conversation and discussion. Before the break, we were trying to get into this a little bit, but hearing obviously in reports and news, and experts keep mentioning this and talking about this, but the idea that Social Security will face major funding constructs by the year of 2032, which is less than a decade away from where we are now. And there are many different variations and varieties of things that are contributing to what they're saying in terms of our Social Security being challenged as we continue to grow the retiree population, obviously, and with a lot of people are getting healthier, and there's a longer life expectancy happening, but also obviously fewer workers who are paying into the system, obviously with the rise of AI and all of these things that are happening. And so this definitely, as I stated, probably the most personal policy conversation that we could have, because obviously challenging our Social Security is something that we are in no way, shape, or form ready to have the conversation, or ready to face or deal with the fact that these things are actually happening to us, happening to our future, happening, in light of all of the hard work that we put in, all of the jobs and justice that we're fighting for, on a daily basis. But, talking about now challenging our survival is something else. And the reality of that is, people are living longer while fewer people, workers, are really supporting the system, they're saying, and really, creating this financial imbalance. Policymakers are going to have to deal with this, and going to have to address this on many different levels as we continue to have these conversations. But, I do believe that Social Security should be a national priority, obviously, because millions of Americans spent their lives paying into this system and expecting it to, of course, promise. Expecting it to give back, expecting the promises to be paid in full, right? And so, I really do feel like this conversation, it's a no-brainer. I don't understand how policymakers are not even all on top of this and dealing with, how we are fighting to salvage and save this. But I also feel like, there's a lot going on in terms of funding in general, that we need to also be aware about. And also wanted to talk to Sister Jennifer today about this immigration funding package, and want to talk to y'all about that. So let's go back to the phones. I know folks are holding on. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. I saw on the message board, Trisha, I believe, was talking about this as well with Social Security, that, we got to stop looking at it as a retirement plan only. And I agree with you there, sister. She said it's for all ages due to retirement and survivors and disability, and we can't let them take that from us. So this needs to be a high on priority, and I agree with you. And this is, all the more reasons why we continue to have to go to Washington. We continue to raise the alarm and raise our issues, coming out in volumes, showing large numbers that we care about these issues. We care about these concerns that we have, and we want to see some change made about them. Let's go back to the phones and talk to Michael. Michael's holding on, listening to us from Georgia. Michael, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominique. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing as well as can be. As far as your topic, what you were saying, to me, it's the voting rights issue, because if we lose our voting rights, we will never get back control of this Supreme Court that's lost its mind and what's keeping the felon in power. But the reason why I was calling, Dominique, for the last 6 years, I have been updating your dad on the Camp Lejeune Justice Act.
Oh, yes. Please
remember,
inform us.
Yeah, last Thursday I was actually in Washington, D.C. because we had a rally. We had a lot of speakers there from different organizations, VFW, American Legions. We had a couple of congressmen and a couple of senators that came through because there's two bills, and one in the House is 4145, and one in the Senate is S907, and this will speed up the process for the claimants of Camp Lejeune. Everybody thinks we've got paid. Not one case has went to court on the Camp Lejeune Justice Act. Not one. Trump's DOJ has tried to block us at every turn, and these two bills will allow us. And when I told Rev couldn't believe it. Will allow us to have jury trials. Some kind of way they were able to take away our right to have a jury trial. And so this will allow us to have a jury trial, and it will allow us to start having trials. For one, it's been I've been fighting this thing for over 10 years, and other people have been fighting it a lot longer. But our country is, Dominique, our country is really sick. The next day I was heading back home, and I got on the plane, and I saw Reverend Senator Warnock. And something told me to just go up there and talk to him. I didn't know if I could do it or not, but I went for it, and I went up there and I spoke with him, and I told him about Camp Lejeune and what was going on, and he asked me, was I there? And I was like, yeah, I'm a survivor, a two-time cancer survivor as a result. And he said he would try to help us do anything he can to help us.
Very
but
good.
This is the sick part. Dominique, this here now it gets sick. I was so excited I decided to post it on social media.
Oh Lord.
And when I said, Reverend Warner, you couldn't believe the hate that came out. I'm like, we need all the help that we can get. And even some of my Marine Corps brothers and sisters, I assume that's who they were hating against Reverend Warnock, trying to help us. And I'm like, our country, yeah, is really in bad shape right now. And so, like, getting back to your topic, to me, voting rights is going to be the most important thing. I am a retiree. I am receiving Social Security, and if I was to lose that, I'd probably have to go back to work.
And let me ask you this. So as we talked about this, I know Andre from the Bronx was on earlier. We talked about this in Nan's Youth Huddle, in our Youth Huddle forum. And a young person got up and we were talking about voting rights, obviously. A young person was like, well, who cares about, like, if they take away our right to vote? Because young people don't vote anyway. What do you have to say about that? What would you say? And because you're fighting. You said that you've been dealing with this fighting for policy reform, and in its rarest form, for Camp Lejeune for almost over a decade now. So what would you say to that statement? As you said, voting rights is probably our most problematic issue, and if we lose that right, we lose our power for good. What do you say to that?
Well, I would say to that young person, just think about somebody taking away your complete freedom. You have a lot of freedoms right now to do what you can do, what you want to do, to go to the mall and go to any mall where you want to right now. But what if with all the gerrymandering and all the racist laws that are coming down, what if somebody took that away from you? How would you feel then?
All right. Had to ask you
Yeah.
what victory looks like for you in this country. And certainly I agree. Voting rights is something that we definitely fought hard for. And we've got to keep, those rights prevalent for us and our people and our future. Thank you so much for your call, and keep up the great work in your fight and your cause. Thank you for your call. Taking this break, Dominique Sharpton sitting in for the Rev, taking your calls, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode.
Where in history is this? He said we always go one step forward and two backward. Well, here we are now. The problem is not Trump. The problem is us. We are allowing ourselves to be lowered and our children to feel inferior because you don't have an I am somebody person. You got our artists calling our women bees. Our others calling us niggas. What happened to us? What happened to black and proud? What happened? I'm gonna vote. What happened? Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. What happened to us?
In 1929, a child was born who would one day awaken the conscience of a nation. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did not inherit a world ready for justice. He inherited a world resistant to it. Yet through faith and fearless leadership, he transformed struggle into strength and vision into movement.
Yes, we're on the move, and no wave of racism can stop us.
Yes, sir.
The burning of our churches will not deter us. Yes, sir. The bombing of our homes will not dissuade us.
Yes, sir.
The beating and killing of our clergymen and young people will not divert us.
Yes, sir.
The wanton release of their known murderers will not discourage us. We're on the move now.
Yes, sir.
Like an idea whose time has come.
Yes, sir.
Not even the marching of mighty armies can halt us.
Yes, sir.
We're moving to the land of freedom.
Yes, sir.
His dream was never meant to live in history books. It was meant to live through us. And today, that vision still lives. It lives through leadership that refuses to be silent, and through those entrusted with carrying the legacy forward through the moral leadership of Reverend Al Sharpton and the continued stewardship of Martin Luther King III, ensuring that Dr. King's dream remains a mandate, not a memory. Through National Action Network, that vision remains active, organizing in the streets, advocating in the halls of power, and confronting injustice wherever it exists. Last year, on Dr. King's Day, we stood together and made a vow to keep alive everything Dr. King stood for, not just in word, but in action. We marched, we gathered, and we recommitted ourselves to the work. Since then, the movement has not paused from the National Action Network convention, where leaders came together to organize and build power, to the Keepers of the Dream Gala, an event established in the name of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to honor those who actively protect, advance, and live out his vision of justice, equality, and service. It is especially meaningful to remember that Mrs. Coretta Scott King was honored at the very first Keepers of the Dream Gala.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
And she did more than honor the dream she protected. At the 2000 March on Washington, Mrs. Coretta Scott King charged Martin Luther King III and Reverend Al Sharpton with the responsibility of carrying forward Dr. King's vision, ensuring that the movement would remain alive, relevant, and unafraid.
And to see them today here warms my heart, because indeed the future of our leadership is in good hands, especially with all the others who are here in support of them. And I want to ask first that Martin Luther King III come forth, and then Reverend Al Sharpton. These young men have done an outstanding job, and we need to continue to support them. I will be there with them, even though I may not be able to walk all the way, but if I have to go in the wheelchair, that'll be all right too. I'll be there. Thank you. God bless you.
And 25 years later, they still stand together. On the 28th of August, 2025, Reverend Al Sharpton and Martin Luther King III stood side by side once again, not by coincidence, but by calling. On a date forever tied to the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., they came together in unity and purpose to keep the dream alive, this time on Wall Street. Wall Street represents power and too often unchecked inequality. So they showed up to declare that economic justice is civil rights and that accountability must exist wherever power lives. Dr. King taught us that the moral arc of the universe is long, but it does not bend on its own. It bends when people are willing to pull it. And we are still pulling, still standing, still holding up the dream, because the work is not finished and the dream still demands defenders. He is a tireless civil rights leader, a fearless voice for justice, and the president and founder of the National Action Network, which proudly marks its 35th anniversary of fighting for justice, equality, and accountability. Please welcome Reverend Al Sharpton.
That is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's daughter, sitting in for the Rev today, taking your calls. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Rev is traveling. He is in Hampton, Virginia, where he keynoted the Hampton, Virginia's Ministers Conference today, and Jennifer Jones Austin, attorney Jennifer Jones Austin, is also traveling with the Rev, and so they will also be heading to Chicago, where the annual Rainbow Push Coalition, founded by Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., is taking place as well. And so Rev is going to Chicago to pay respects and speak at the conference as well. But we are here. We got a lot going on, lot to talk about. I don't know what's going on with the message board right now. Y'all are on some other wave, as the young people say. But certainly thankful to those who are also watching us and chiming in on the discussion via the message board, watching us via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. But we've got a lot going on, a lot to talk about. Certainly, I want to talk about this immigration funding package. We were talking about what was happening with Social Security. So I also want to get into that. And all roads, of course, are leading, as we have been mentioning throughout the country, throughout the broadcasts and various days, that we are going to Washington, D.C. on August the 28th on the commemoration of the March on Washington, the historic historic March on Washington, Reverend Sharpton and National Action Network, and many other legacy organizations, community groups, Martin Luther King III, and that organization will also be joining together to stand in solidarity on Washington, D.C., in Washington, D.C. on August the 28th, as we are going to be coming together to really show a solidarity and a united front against how we are dealing with a lot of these issues. We talked about voting rights. We've been talking about immigration reform and how we're dealing with criminal justice reform and so many other things. And so we're going to Washington, D.C., just as we did in 2020 and many other years, to raise the alarm, to raise our issues and concerns. And so we want everyone to obviously join us and to be a part of the action. And you can go to the website, nationalactionnetwork.net, and get more information about how you can join us in Washington, D.C. on August the 28th. Let's go to Carolyn, listening to us from Cincinnati on The Buzz. Carolyn, you're keeping it real. Well, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you as well.
Well, thank you.
It's so good to hear you, Dominique.
Thank you. Same here.
I have never called before. I called before. This is the second time I've ever called.
Okay.
My concern is, I heard the lady, I can't think of her name, that she was talking about Moses. And
Anita.
He also said, that's her.
Mm-hmm.
Let my people go. So apparently, what should I say? What's that man's name? What is his name? That old piece of Trump man. He has let us go, if you can see already. But if we come together, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, if we come together, we can be as powerful as an atom bomb.
Mm.
Okay?
Right.
And also about the senior and these homes, these apartments and whatnot, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I live in one that does not. I know I'm old, Dominique. I'm older than your father. As a matter of fact, I'll be 77 next month.
Oh, well, God bless you. Wow.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pleasure hearing that from you. I tell you, I feel like that God just said that to me. But, okay, the apartment building, like I said, they don't have elevators. They don't have anything that's for senior citizens, if you know what I mean. Only thing that I have going for me as far as the senior citizen things concerning these apartments is the laundry room.
Mm.
Now, I go further than there, but I can't make it up steps like I used to, Dominique. I could walk rings around you and anybody else.
I know that's right.
And I don't even know. Yeah, I used to be able to do that, but I can't do it now. But anyhow, they want you to pay. If there is any services that you want done to your apartment, you have to pay for it. John Q. Public has to pay for it, okay? Now, I've been here in this apartment for 14 years. Never missed rent, never was late, none of that. 14 years. Okay, I want to get out of here, I really do, but then when I tried to get out of here and I thought that this was going to be another apartment for me, it wasn't. They want $1,024 for a one bedroom. And this is senior citizens, mind you.
Wow.
Okay? Now, here again, they thought it was a fire in my apartment, which is A13. But it was in A12 that the fire was in. The fireman couldn't see. So they tore this door down where I'm living. They tore the Venetian blinds up because they want to open the window to get the smoke out. They tore all this stuff up, okay? And they told me the only way that I could get it replaced is to buy it myself or buy it from them.
Wow.
Now, how you like that?
Wow.
Yeah, and I've been trying to get in contact with some people to see if there's another route for me to take. Maybe somebody will call in and have something for me.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, Ohio. Carolyn Robinson. Yeah. But maybe they will. But Dominique, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, same here. And thank you so much for that. And this is all the more reason why, we can't allow them to challenge Social Security. We can't allow the resources that are valuable to our communities as it relates to serving our seniors or serving persons with disabilities or serving the health services that our people need, from mental health to physician care and so many other things. We have to really fight for those resources, fight to keep our communities thriving, and for our seniors who are sharing these disparities is really harmful, obviously, but it is ridiculous, and it is troublesome for us to say and be who we are and not do what we can to really make sure that those that are in the more vulnerable communities are protected and are cared for. So I thank you for sharing that from Cincinnati, and I really do hope that we can see some justice in our housing reform and really across the board, how we raise these public concerns as they affect policy and what we need to do to really get the momentum moving forward. There's a timeline, there's a process. I understand all that, but at the end of the day, our seniors are crying out for help. We are dealing with, taking away, challenging our rights, and we're dealing with, really how we exclaim our power in this moment. And so I feel like we've got to up the ante in our activism and in our work and in our activities, and we have to leave no stones unturned when it comes down to how we're dealing with protecting our people and protecting the rights of our people and what we need to do. And speaking of that, if we're talking about Social Security, we're talking about what's going on with the immigration funding package. Wanted to talk about that, how Congress recently approved a major immigration funding package that was reportedly with little Democratic input, but during the negotiations, and supporters are saying that obviously the funding strengthens border operations, and critics are arguing that it fails to address broader immigration reform. And so we are dealing with how and in one retrospect, right, immigration is one of those issues where people often agree more than politicians do, right? But most Americans are also recognizing, right, that immigrants contribute to our economy and our communities. And so and we want secure borders at the end of the day, right? But the challenge is, if we're talking about Washington, we're talking about what they've spent and how they spent a lot of time, decades, really debating, immigration without fully solving it. We are dealing with a real major crisis. And I just don't think that, there should be an either or discussion. I feel like if we're having these discussions, we need to be totally transparent. We need to be upfront, and we need to be active. And I also feel like, Americans, regardless of your race, ethnicity, or background, we should be able to maintain secure borders while also treating people with dignity, and treating people with humanity, and treating people with respect. And so I really do feel like we are really climbing this uphill battle. And there are many reforms, obviously, that need to happen right now. But under no circumstance should we be seeing the tragedy and the turmoil that people are dealing with in this country as they are facing, a crisis around immigration, and crisis around stability, and crisis around, how our families are being displaced. We're losing our homes. We're losing our jobs. We're fighting for. Will you look in the mirror and say, I've done enough, or I'm not doing enough? We've got to hold ourselves accountable first and foremost, but we've got to also, this is why it's important for the demonstrations to continue, for us to continue to mobilize each other, for us to continue to have these conversations. People are asking, well, what's the relevancy? I need something new. I need a new ordeal. I need some new, instructions, some new marching orders, because the old way isn't working. Well, guess what? we're not working. And we're going to keep not working if we continue to allow these issues to continue to fester amongst us in our communities and our families and our homes, and we continue to stay complacent and do nothing about it. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Hear that music? We're taking this break. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. I see I'm in today's New York Times word puzzle, and they're asking what is Al Sharpton's title for short. It's Rev. I didn't know everybody knew that. But the people in the New York Times, they didn't call me Rev. They should call me Reverend. No.
Rev, you know you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. We've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene you saw.
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Now, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. So we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks. It's about giving. It's about gratitude. It's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We got to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the
ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God. In that, it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that called me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, the Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Donatello State.
I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter, sitting in for the Rev today. Rev is traveling in Hampton, Virginia, where he keynoted today the Hampton University's Ministers Conference. And Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin, I believe, is in the contingency, also traveling to Hampton, Virginia to attend the conference. And then they're heading on to Chicago, Illinois, where Rev will be speaking at the annual Rainbow Push Coalition's convention in Chicago, Illinois, founded by, of course, the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr. And certainly we are very involved on the ground with what's happening, what our legacy organizations are doing to keep the momentum strong and to really raise the volume for justice, for equality, for protecting our rights, for all who deserve, all who need to know and be about the action. We provide that and work very hard to ensure that the rights of our people are heard, respected, and valued. And so, we usually have our Thursdays policy day with Sister Jennifer Jones Austin, but she is traveling with the Reverend. And so we are here keeping it real, as always, talking about the issues, being about the action, and certainly taking your calls. You can join in on the conversation by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phones and speak with Special K. Special K is listening to us, holding on, listening to us from Seattle. Special K, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Dominique. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good to the wood. Hey, heard you mention a couple of times on reparations.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's one of our main policies right there. Okay? Because as a people, they look at us perceive us as nothing more than a ATM machine. Where they come and get money. Withdraw money from us. No questions asked.
That's right.
They don't give us no reciprocity. I beg your pardon?
I said that's right, brother.
Thank you. They don't give us no reciprocity. They're not giving anything back. So we just to give worship power in our leverages. We got in reparations. I think of our ancestors, like Harriet Tubman, Marcus Garvey, people like that. James Brown. You're talking about black music, right?
Mm-hmm.
James Brown. He has a reparations song, The Big Payback.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorites.
Okay. But we there's so much we got to do to keep it real. If we're going to keep it real, if we're going to keep it real, we got to be more, how you say it, we can't keep supplying them
No, I feel you. I think I understand what you're trying to say, and I feel like, I think that you're touching on something strong here, because I feel like, that we get down on ourselves, and what I don't like to see is a weak brother or a weak sister, right? Somebody who's always talking about being down, staying down, being depressed, or being, we got to raise up in this moment. Rise up, in this moment. Reverend Sharpton wrote a book called Rise Up. So we've got to rise up in this moment, brother. And I feel like, our weakness can get the best of us. Our weakness, we can become complacent in our weakness. We can become stuck in our weakness. We can become, victims of our weakness, right? In many different ways. We can have this conversation, right? Go ahead. Yeah, come on in. We keeping it real.
Yeah, sometimes I feel that way. I'm hungry right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I know there's people out here, I'm not starving. The people out here are starving.
Mm-hmm.
They got kids, don't even know when they're going to eat. You saw that movie Lottery with Bow Wow and the other cat up on the roof?
Oh, yeah.
He says, we're starving out here right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? Who are we talking to? We're like satellites that separated way out. They got us separated so far from each other.
That's right.
But we got to communicate to each other. I wish we could have a huge football stadium we all can meet at every so often, once a month, if necessary, and speak on our heels and our wheels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're making them filthy. Even the rappers, remember, like back in the days, Busta Rhymes, when he had a Cavassier, and it was whoever owned Cavassier, she was so thankful her scales, her money went over the rainbow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but Busta Rhymes, you're making money. She could care less about the music. All she want to know is they're making us money. That's the main thing, That's what their demand is.
Yeah.
We demand their supply.
Yeah.
They do supply.
Special K, you on it?
I'm not up on the latest lingo or whatnot, or dressing cold-blooded. But at the end of the day, you're getting exploited with impunity. So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to just break off, because I'm stuck like a duck right now. But dumb people cannot pretend to be smart. And smart people cannot pretend to be dumb. We got over 50,000 black millionaires in this country. So where we at?
Yep.
I'm black to the bone. We got to get this reparations popping. That ain't no joke.
No joke.
They ain't begging you for nothing. We ain't begging. Get it straight. A lot of the people, who is that? We're not begging. They owe. Like Obama said, you owe, Pookie. You owe. This is not something we're begging for you. We put blood, sweat, and tears out here. We ain't just. When we cry, believe me, if we're crying, somebody got to answer.
Yeah.
Somebody better come running.
That's right.
We got to answer.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Special K. Thank you so much for your call. Thank you so much for keeping it real. But I think you're right, and I spoke to that before. Let's. In terms of, we can be down, but we don't have to stay down. My dad always talks about that story, and he shares that story. If I knock you down, and you fall, that's on me. If I come back next week and you still laying on the ground, that's on you. So we are not responsible for being down, but we are responsible for getting up. And did the Knicks not teach y'all anything? I mean, there's a lesson in this game, y'all. There's a lesson in the comeback. There's a lesson. The Knicks were down 29 points. 29 points, okay? But the players, right, y'all, they did not know they were supposed to lose. You could be down, So many people told you was down. So many people told you was losing. So many people told you was behind professionally. Your marriage was struggling. Your child is struggling in school. Your community is facing challenges. So many people are telling us we are losing. Okay, but somewhere along the way, we must begin to accept the defeat before the game is actually over. We got to know that there's victory in our struggle. We've got to know that we can too rise up. Just like the Knicks did, y'all. We could do it too. We could do it in our families. We could do it in our communities. We could do it in our homes. We could do it with us. I hear that music. Thank you so much, Special K, for keeping it real. Call and join in on the discussion, y'all. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Keeping it real. Breaking news. The issues.
The only thing that will matter 2 minutes after you gone is what you did for more than yourself. Think about this. Think about if today is your last day. If this is your last service, what can they say about me? And if you're not satisfied with your own answer, you should leave here today working on yourself and building on what you need to build. Because God is here. He's available to you if you but use what he's giving you to be more than self-indulgent. Now, I know many of us come with reasons we won't step out. But I come to tell you that's why God is here. God takes the ones that are the least likely and gets the most done. As I have seen in my life, people that were the unexpected and rejected are the ones that end up the greatest. So don't let whatever mistakes or whatever things that may be in your past hold you back. God is not trapped in your past. God is there for your future. And he's there that every day you wake up was a divine decision he made to give you another opportunity to serve.
But Reverend, it looks bad now. Look at Iran. Look at what's going on in Minnesota. Look on. Yeah, but I was raised by them to realize that after storms, if we do the right thing in the storm, if we organize, if we register, if we do what we're supposed to do, there's always a rainbow coming out. The rainbow don't show until the storm is over. The rainbow gonna come out in November. The rainbow gonna come out in 28. We gonna fix these tricks in 26 and march through the gates in 28. We didn't come this far to turn around now. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton time. It's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You need to keep it real with Reverend Al Sharpton right here on Uber TV. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
Happy 20th anniversary to Reverend Al Sharpton on 20 years of Keeping It Real. 2 decades of truth-telling, fearless advocacy, and keeping the people informed and empowered. Thank you for always speaking power to justice and standing firm for what's right. Here's to 20 years of impact and many more to come.
Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, sitting in for the Rev today, taking your calls, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. As we are preparing for Juneteenth, I want to make sure that everyone is aware of this event that has taken place per Reverend Sharpton's request. There will be an event that has taken place as we continue to discuss issues around immigration reform, issues around how we can and will continue to reach over across the seas to help and to unite with our brothers and sisters who live overseas in other countries. And there will be an event to pray for Haiti. We've been talking about a lot of the issues that are going on in Haiti and certainly want to continue to raise the alarm, stay involved, and stay active in terms of how we are showing up for our brothers and sisters who need us. The brother was just, Special K was just talking about this. You know, I'm hungry, but I'm not starving. But there are people that are starving around us, our brothers and sisters who need our help, who need our influence, who need our advocacy, and who certainly need our prayers. And so we are coming together in the spirit of Juneteenth. On June the 19th, New York City faith leaders and nonprofits and friends of the Haitian community are coming together at the Christian Cultural Center, that's CCC 12020 Flatlands Avenue in Brooklyn on Friday, June the 19th from 7 to 9 p.m. Reverend Sharpton and Pastor A.R. Bernard and advocate who has been really working steadfast in the Haitian community to raise these advocacies, Reverend Dr. Samuel Nichols and Pastor Leslie Thomas and so many others will be joining at the Christian Cultural Center on Friday, June 19th. On Juneteenth, we will be praying for Haiti. We will be having an event to pray for Haiti and to really galvanize that information and spread that information in the news in terms of how we can continue to support our Haitian brothers and sisters in Haiti. And so those who can join us in person, please join us at the Christian Cultural Center on Friday, June 19th, 7 o'clock p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Let's continue to pray for Haiti. Let's go back to the phones and speak with David, who's listening to us from Baltimore. David, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Yes, thanks for taking my call today. I just want to talk about the trial, the conviction of Carmela Anthony killing Austin Metcalf. And I hear a lot of these people defending the murder, and I know it wasn't first degree, but I'm against murder, and I don't care what color you are. I think it's wrong regardless. And if it had been the other way around, I would have said that, Austin Metcalf was, should have got time in prison too. So I don't want nobody to think I'm racist or nothing here, because I think either way, I think it was wrong what happened. He got what he deserved. But you hear a lot of these people that are actually defending the murder, and how can they do that? I know they're people, I understand that, but if you do something wrong, you do the crime. And I don't care what color you are, whether you're black, yellow, red, or white, or green, or any color, as far as that goes. If you do the crime, you got to do the time. That's just reality. But you hear some, people like Jasmine Crockett talking, saying, well, it's just a little half-an-inch knife. It wasn't a big weapon, but he still used it to kill him, and it's still wrong, and we can't defend that, regardless of color. And like I say, if it was to reverse the other way around, it would still be wrong. So these people are so asinine that are, defending this guy for committing murder. I mean, if you have a problem with somebody, maybe you could just fist fight him or something like that. I mean, that might be wrong too, but at least it wouldn't be killing nobody or nothing like that. But kill somebody, it's just totally wrong, And like I say, I'm not racist, Like I say, if it was a white guy killing a black guy, I would say put the white guy in jail too. So it's just a wrong versus right thing. My mom and dad always taught me, treat everybody right regardless of their color, and respect everybody regardless of who they are, because everybody deserves respect, because we're all God's children. Thanks. Have a good day.
Thank you, David. I don't think that in terms of on this platform that we were defending the murder or defending a crime. That's not what the tone is here with that. First of all, we were not there. We don't know what happened. But from what the case unfolded, Carmelo said that he was defending himself. That was one. And in these cases, we were talking about the fact that Carmelo did not have the right to a fair trial, which means that he did not see peers that looked like him sitting in the jury to decide his fate. So there are racial connotations underlying in how we dealt with the unfolding of obviously how this case was dealt with, and that's what we're discussing. And then furthermore, to me, this story is difficult, obviously, because it's one of those stories where I think everyone loses. A man has lost his life here. Another young man has lost his freedom. Two families are devastated. And I feel like if we're being honest, David, that's where the conversation should begin. It should not begin with politics or social media or ideology, but a tragedy did occur. And I think somewhere along the way, we've become so accustomed, I think, to violence that sometimes we forget how extraordinary it is when a young man's life is cut short. And so I keep asking myself, what happened to the conflict resolution? And we talked about this earlier. What happened to walking away, like you said? But what happened to adults intervening before situations escalate? And perhaps the hardest question of all is why are we seeing so many young people make permanent decisions in temporary moments? And so I feel like, this young man's life could have been salvaged. I feel like Carmelo could have been protected. I feel like, as this case continued to escalate and be quote unquote resolved, that Carmelo should have had a fair trial. He should have had a fair shot at explaining what happened. And I don't feel like, and I feel like because of his color, let's just be honest, a lot of those issues and those things did not play out as it should have, equally and fairly as it could have. For others, have we seen this happen to? And as these cases obviously unfold in the criminal justice system, we see a lot of Black kids railroaded because of these types of issues that come about. And so that's what we're talking about here. I don't necessarily see or hear anyone, especially on this platform, defending a murder or a crime. That's not what we're doing here. But I do feel like there are a lot of issues within this case that we are seeing that need to be addressed, need to be dealt with, and raises the momentum to keep and stay involved in the fight and what we're doing. And that's really fighting for equality and fighting for justice, across the board, whether it be from a policy perspective or from a human perspective, and where we need to confront each other, right, in dealing with our crises and how we deal with of the issues that we are facing. There are ways to deal with our conflicts, and we are seeing conflict all around. Right. But there are ways that we can deal with our conflicts, and there are ways that we can continue to spread that positive message and that unified message that we need to all be aligned and do our parts and do what we can, not to criticize, not to downplay, but to uplift and to really help our young people to do better and to succeed in life. And so I will say that, David. But thank you so much for your call, and thank you so much for keeping it real. Message board, yeah, Fahima, no one is justifying Austin Metcalf's murder, but this was noticeably, I don't know what that means, NOTC, a fair trial. Carmelo Anthony was being bullied, and there was a lot of evidence that wasn't presented during the trial. Exactly. And that's a good point as well. And then, as we heard from his parents, they themselves, they were like, look, my boy didn't get a fair shot here. And so, that's what we're talking about here. Yahuda, his name. The question is, does Mr. Anthony have a right to not be assaulted? Yes, very good point there. Terrell Coleman, 1467. Why were there Black people in the jury of your peers? You mean, why were they not Black people? I don't know about that, about what you're trying to say there. But yes, definitely understand, David, where you're coming from in this moment. And definitely this is why we have these conversations on keeping it real. This is why we talk about it, so that we can be about it, because we can't be about it if we don't talk about it, and we can't talk about it if we don't be about it. And so, for this incident, and I'm a mother of a black boy, so I understand, every day the conversations that, that I have to have with my black son, that's different from other ethnicities. Now, it is the truth. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about conflict resolution, when we're talking about, how to really deal with the mental stability of our young people, what they have to face, what they have to deal with, it's not easy. And so I feel like for parents and for those caretakers in the community, it's not easy. It's not easy either, because we are also facing issues of our own, right? But I think that we need to continue to bridge that gap, continue to have those conversations, right, David? Because I feel like that is going to really project our progress forward, if we're really confronting it from different angles. So, with that said, I hear the music. We're gonna take another quick break. Dominique Sharpton sitting in for Rev. You still have time to join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Keep it real. Keep it real.
And how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes black. We don't want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started at Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, at ACP, we would put them together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation. Then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this.
He has contributed.
I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me with other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, sitting in for the Rev today, and we've had a very interesting segment and show today in Keeping It Real. David got the message board lit up talking about this Carmelo Anthony case, and I want to share, of course, some of those comments because I really feel like we need to continue having these important conversations and, you know, how we confront these issues, especially having these conversations with our children. And so James Thomas, VT4ND, said something about the Anthony case just stinks. Too high heaven about this case altogether. I feel that too. Trisha, 1989, saying civic engagement must include voting for judges and DAs, serving on juries, and learning how to serve on a jury and not get booted because of trick bag questions. Very, 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 very pertinent point there. And as we are continuing, obviously, to have these discussions around civic engagement, which is very important. Civics 101, I think that civics should be taught in schools. I feel like the civic process and engagement should be, something that children are especially privy to early on in their education journey and in the education process. So I agree with you on that as well. Saying that, Carmelo is a murderer, I don't know. People are talking about that as well. I mean, it's to go that far to say he's a murderer, to give him 35 years. I just, I don't know. And based on what the facts were presented in the case, it really does seem like a stretch. And so that's what people are talking about. People are outraged with that, and people are really trying to deal with how we grapple with the ramifications of how these processes unfold, right? And so it's an unfortunate situation, but it is more unfortunate if we continue to really allow for adversity like this to cripple us and cripple our communities and our progress and everything that we fought for. And so that's why I really do feel like the conversations today, especially that around Social Security, may be the most important story, but probably receive the least attention because, unlike a war or a political scandal, this crisis develops slowly. And when we see these things happen, we don't necessarily feel the ramifications unless it really hits home. It really hits close to us. But make no mistake, a slow moving crisis is still a crisis, and millions of Americans have spent decades, really paying into the system, really trying to contribute. As citizens, we're doing our part, not making donations, not making investments. This is clear cut. I worked, I served, I deserve, my cut. I deserve my piece of the pie. And that was the understanding. And so, I work, I contribute, and when I retire, I want there to be a safety net too. And so, we're being told that that safety net may be under strain. And that's what concerns me. We're often discussing Social Security as numbers on a spreadsheet, and it's not a spreadsheet. It's somebody's grandmama. It's someone's disabled mom. It's someone's widowed mother. It's someone who is deciding whether they can afford medication. Those aren't numbers, y'all. Those are human beings, right? And we really have to deal with, can America afford not to fix Social Security? That's just something that, we are seeing, we have to deal with, we have to confront. And so it is a necessary conversation to have. It is necessary to stay involved. It is necessary to speak up. It is necessary for us to have these conversations. Deshaun, listening to us, holding on from Washington, D.C. Deshaun, I want to get you in on this conversation. You're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to make a comment about the Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was guilty. So what should he get? Probation? Because the law is the law is the law. You can't, even if it was self-defense, you're only allowed to respond in non-deadly force. Like if the white guy would have had a knife, yeah, you can stab him. But you can't be pushed and then stab somebody. So that's just the law. Yeah. And of course, we have to racialize everything because I believe on a subconscious level, our people are so messed up in the head. We enjoy being the victims on a subconscious level. We love this. We love feeling like we're on the bottom. So if it's not Carmelo Anthony, it's going to be something else. Woe is me, our people, blah, 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 blah. So we're going to have to start changing our mindset. Like me personally, I'm undefeated in life, like Jordan in the finals.
And why is that, Deshaun?
My
Tell
life
me,
is,
what's your strategy that we not getting? Because I need some insight. So put me on, brother, please.
I just told you, you will have to change your mindset. Like right now, I made a lot of money off of Bitcoin. My AI is close to being able to pass the Turing test. I know I'm going to make even more money off of that. So we just have to change our mentality. And yes, it's unfortunate, but if it was the other way around, the white guy did the stabbing and was found guilty, then we would be celebrated. So a lot of it is, oh, go ahead. What were we going to say?
No, I'm listening to you, Deshaun. You got the floor.
So we have to change our mentality and get out of this victimhood. I think that we enjoy being victims on a subconscious level. Because tomorrow is going to be something else. Next week it's going to be something else. We're always going to be chasing the next death, okay? Or the next injustice, anything. And we'll latch on to it as a people. Woe is me. We got to fight. We got to vote. Blah, blah, blah. The same thing every day, every day.
Yep.
Why not focus on our achievements? Why not focus on the great things that we've done instead of the little petty stuff? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, no, we do that. We
Nothing wrong with
definitely
celebrating.
hone in on our accomplishments, and we've come a long way. Progress has definitely certainly been made and it can continue. And you're talking about Bitcoin and AI and all that, that's the future, and we've got to tap into that. So, Deshaun, I feel you on that point.
My AI is close to being able to pass the Turing test.
Oh, wow.
I say another 6 months, and then after that, that's a game changer.
Wow. Well, I do hope that you use some of that good wealth and health and pass that back to our community because we need help.
Nothing. The black community, no. It's all about me and mine.
Well,
because the
Deshaun,
black community, it's another thing that we have to realize. And we just have to be honest with ourselves. The black community is too dysfunctional to be saved. We passed the point of no return. It's not me saying this. This is our scholars, our thinkers. Dr. Claude Anderson says that in 2034, our median net worth is going to be $0. So it's nothing to be done. So I suggest everybody just get there.
Get theirs. All right. Well, good luck getting yours, Deshaun. Thank you so much for keeping it real. Thank you for your comment and for calling in with your analysis. Let's go to C. Let's get C in here listening to us from Washington State. C, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Hey, how's it going today?
All right. How are you?
I wanted to say, well, I tell you what's been on my mind, unfortunately, was the Kamala case. But
yeah,
I'm going to just be straight up with you on this. You know, I can't imagine being a parent these days and coming home to that kind of news. And there's no winners on that either way.
Right.
I don't care how you look at it. You got one kid in the ground and you got one kid looking at life. Knowing that we know from historically what the system has done to our people, we still have kids who are falling through the cracks. My position was this. Since before 1965, we've been shouldering, fighting, and clawing for rights, etc. We've been paying the price of lynching, plantation, Jim Crow, blah, blah, blah. Up till, I would think, up to 1968, we witnessed assassinations on leaders like Martin Luther King and a few others, and yet we still plug along. And what I feel right now that's going on is this is a severe, I don't even know, this is a severe wake-up call. I don't know what it's going to take for our community to get our heads out of our ass. It seems like we kind of drifted on the side while everybody benefited off our struggle. We've gotten kind of complacent. I have seen this being in the workforce where I was working. I've seen the change. People are coming to this country. And the reality is, what's going on is African Americans aren't needed anymore. That's the hard, painful truth. That's the mindset that's going on right now. I see it in the employment. I see it out here in success stories. But the prior caller talking about this focus on the positive, we can't go positive if we're not on the same page of positive.
That's the truth.
We need to bring back excellence and demand exceptions in our schools. Where are our parents? Our schools are like pages for our children, and you wonder why they're failing and falling through the cracks. You know what I mean? I'm out here talking to young people. I don't rely on leaders, and I'm just a private citizen trying to do my little part.
That's it.
But I really feel that's the mindset now. And as a taxpayer now, disabled vet, I think that we need to change that mindset and make it so that we are needed, we are valued, we have an opportunity to rebuild what used to be in the 40s and the 50s. We had our own businesses and stuff. But we were also taught at the same time that to be successful, you had to move out the neighborhood, to join those suburbs, to join where the white people were. You know what I mean? So we sacrificed. We gave up our identity just to be part of something else we really shouldn't have done it to begin with. And now we're back into trying to boycott and do all this other craziness. So the responsibility, I feel, a lot of this starts at home. It falls in our communities. I'm doing my little part. You know, I can't imagine being a mom.
Right.
Having a conversation of how's it going in school. It comes down to what are your laws, what are your rights, what is your this, what is your that. That's horrifying, but that's our reality. So that's my my little 2 cents. Then we all are leaders here. We all are. I don't care if you're retired. I don't care if you're a veteran. I don't care if you're Joe down the street. We all have a part in how our community will go.
Yes, see.
Thanks for hearing me.
Thank you so much, C. That was a great way to end this broadcast this afternoon. Thank you so much for all those who called in. Remember to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton every Saturday and Sunday afternoon on MS Now, starting live at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And this Saturday Action Rally with Reverend Sharpton begins live at 9 o'clock on Impact Television and 107.5. You don't want to miss it. And Rev will be back. But as he tells you all, remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, and however you feel, make sure you tell someone. Reverend Al told you, Dominique told you, keep it real, y'all. Keep it real. Keep it real.